been good or what? A show where we talk about stuff and whether it sucks or not. Matt, what album are we talking about today?
Ernest, we are talking about Kanye West's Yeezus.
Yeezus. Okay, Matt, tell me, what did you think about this album?
There's so much to say about Kanye and about his music. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's easy to be tired of him by this point, and his arrogance, his personality in many ways threatens to trump the music. I think there are probably some people who have decided that they're not interested in listening to him anymore because they're so irritated by his swagger. I know that doesn't really bother you much. You're
Not at
kind
all.
of on the side of, you like his confidence.
Yes, I mean, he had a lyric on the first album that said something like, I could let these dream killers kill my self-esteem, but I use my arrogance as esteem to power my dreams. And
Wow, you just busted that out.
oh, I got a million of them, babe. I said babe like you're like Della Reese or something. But no, so my point is this. When it comes to Kanye West's arrogance, I don't think it should detract from the fact that he's making some of the most, I'll say, necessary or relevant music. I don't consider this a rap album, by the way. I do not at all consider it a rap album. I think that
It's more of a country classical combination, would you
I was
say?
going to say post-punk deathcore, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, but I think when it comes to Yeezus, people need to kind of understand that his whole point of this album, and I mean, maybe you'll agree or not, but is to provoke you, right? He wants to get a reaction out of you. He wants to get something, visceral from you. And I think that that's something that a lot of musicians, regardless of genre, aren't trying to do.
I'm sort of amazed that he can be someone who can say, everything I've ever done is awesome, and any time that I apologize for something, it was only because I was pressured to. He can say all that, and yet then come out on the album and say, I'm full of all these contradictions, I'm afraid of my demons, that's why I sleep with the nightlight on. And it sounds sincere. You actually believe him despite all that swagger when he's talking in interviews and stuff like that. And that's hard to pull off.
Right.
Not to mention, how many artists can you name that really switch up their style from album to album?
Yes.
And for the most part, 808s and Heartbreak, maybe not as much, but for the most part, really succeed every time. I mean, no one does that.
It's very rare. I mean, you've seen situations that other artists would find their careers being ended. I mean, 808s and Heartbreaks, I think, is definitely a predecessor to this album.
Right.
Solely for the purpose of the vulnerability that was exposed in it. And
Would you say it was kind of good practice for this?
Without question, this is definitely like his AAA going up to the major leagues,
Yeah.
for which is this album. And I think that him having the foresight to still have context to the streets of Chicago, because for all intents and purposes, he doesn't have to do anything relating to anybody from Chicago ever again. But to have some of the few features on this album be Chief Keef and King Louie, two local rappers that blew up last year, I think shows that he's not only aware of his surroundings, but he's also trying to give back.
I will say that there are a few lines on this album that are really lazy / offensive.
Yeah.
And even if his goal is to provoke people and get them talking, I don't think you have to make racist comments or things that can be taken really in the wrong way. You don't have to do that to get people discussing about issues. You can kind of approach them in a thoughtful way, not in a way that's like, well, this is exactly what we shouldn't be doing. And I don't think that's even how he would defend himself in the first place.
I mean, I'm not going to make excuses for some of the lyrics on the album. I do think that he is a interesting example of what happens when somebody who is technically sound isn't a very good rapper. And so he has to take those extreme chances, I want to say, because he needs to get the point across of the overall theme of the song. So again, not making any excuses. There's a civil rights fist sign situation going on. I'm not jiving with that, but I'm just letting you know that we recognize him as opposed to somebody like J. Cole who raps his ass off, but doesn't necessarily have that personality. Kanye's all personality, not a lot of talent when it comes to rapping.
Yeah, I was trying to think about who the opposite of the Kanye would be.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Busta Rhymes, who's an awesome rapper, but as far as
He's got personality for years, though.
Well, but the actual quality of the music and the technical side isn't really there.
Right. I don't think he's ever found a proper outlet for his stuff.
It'd be interesting to get the two of them in a room together.
I would love that. If you're watching this, Busta Rhymes and or Kanye West, please make an album. I'd appreciate it. But folks, just before we go, we need to go ahead and ask that question. Matt Pais, Yeezus, you give it a good or what?
I'd say this album is quite good, Ernest. What do you think?
I'm going to go ahead and agree with Matt Pais. You see that? We agree about stuff. You didn't even see it coming. This has been Good or What? I'm Ernest Wilkins.
I'm Matt Pais.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching, Busta and Kanye.
Woo-ha!